Entertainment, fashion, and Hollywood gossip. Tuesdays at 7 on UATV.
People are beginning to turn up the heat as winter is approaching, and the Fayetteville firefighters are making sure residents are being safe. Members of the fire department handed out free smoke detectors and installed them in homes. Residents also got their hot water heaters checked for fire hazards. Firefighters say that the cold weather usually leads to a peak in fatal residential fires. They recommend that people have a fire escape plan ready. If you don't have a fire smoke detector in your home, the firefighters will provide and install them for free. The man convicted of killing Little Rock television personality Ann Presley has been sentenced to life in prison without parole. Curtis Vance was convicted of capital murder, rape, and burglary. Presley was attacked in her home and died 5 days later. Under state law, the jury had to decide between a life sentence or the death penalty. A Rogers daycare owner and her husband were arrested for selling drugs out of their home. Investigators say Timothy Boston sold cocaine to confidential informants on multiple occasions. His wife, Denise Boston, was present during one of the transactions. Miss Boston runs Denise's daycare out of her home in Rogers. The couple faces multiple felony charges. Police in Arkansas say the 4 people found dead in a burning mobile home Thursday all had gunshot wounds, and a 5th body found on the property in another home had also been shot. That victim, 80-year-old Edward Earl Gentry Sr., is the only one to be identified so far. Faith Abubi spoke to Gentry's daughter, who believes she knows who the other victims are.
Last time Karen Gentry, her husband, and 2 sons were on her father's property, they sat in the front yard laughing with 80-year-old Edward Gentry Sr., a feisty World War II veteran and cancer survivor. That was only 4 days ago.
I just talked to him the night before and wished him a happy Veterans Day. It's just not even believable that something like this could happen.
Police say it started when they found Gentry's car burning miles away from his home. 15 minutes later, they got a call to that home. When they arrived here around 3 a.m., the mobile home was engulfed in flames and all 5 people on the property were already dead. Police identified Gentry Sr.'s body and say they found him on the other end of the property inside his house. Authorities still have no positive ID through DNA, but Karen Gentry says the others are Edward Gentry Jr., her brother, and his wife, Pam, their son, Jeremy, and lastly, a female friend of his.
It's not real. It's like I'm looking at the pictures and I'm seeing this and it's not my family, it's somebody else's.
Police sifted through the ashes Friday, hoping to find any evidence. Lieutenant James Martin says they are treating it as a criminal investigation.
Just purely as a homicide until we can get something from the crime lab that sends us in another direction. That's the way we're going to treat it.
For now, Karen Gentry and other family members watch and wait for closure.
Okay, that's really terrible to hear, but do they have any leads or suspects in mind right now, or is it just all up in the air?
Well, at this point in the investigation, the authorities say they have no leads or suspects.
All right, thanks, Robin. After the break, find out how the launch of the latest space shuttle went.
We have all the details next in your UATV World News Report with Keith Helm. Don't go away.
Razorback Transit. Come on and take a free ride.
Wednesdays at 7 on UATV.
The Sports Advantage, Thursday at 9 on UATV.
Hi, I'm Judy Shepard-Missett, founder and CEO of Jazzercise. Join us for Jazz Cardio Strength Stretch. Each half-hour program combines cardio, strength, and stretch routines for a total body workout and tips on health, nutrition, or exercise. Thousands of people have tuned in to Jazz Cardio Strength Stretch, and we hope you will too.
Weekdays at 8:30 a.m. on UATV.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Every morning there's a halo hanging from the corner. Wouldn't it be nice if we wake up in the morning? Then the morning comes. Early in the morning, rising to the street. Pure morning, pure.
Welcome back. I'm Keith Hum III with your world news. At least 10 people are reported dead by a rocket attack in a market in northeastern Afghanistan. Afghan police blame the attack on Taliban insurgents. The attack took place as General Marcel Drouard, the head of French forces in Afghanistan, was holding a meeting with tribal elders nearby. French officials said all of the casualties are civilians. France has more than 3,000 troops stationed in Afghanistan. Taliban leaders have also claimed responsibility for a wave of suicide bombings in the Pakistani city of Peshawar, which borders Afghanistan. This morning, a suicide bomber self-detonated outside a police station, killing 6 and wounding 25. This was the 6th suicide bomb attack in and around the capital in 8 days. President Obama told an audience of Chinese students that individual rights and freedoms should be available for all people during a town hall meeting in China today. During a question and answer session, Obama added that China and the U.S. were not destined to be adversaries. Later, he met Chinese President Hu Jintao for dinner in Beijing. Obama is in China for a summit between the two nations scheduled for tomorrow. Their talks are expected to cover trade imbalances, the nuclear programs of Iran and North Korea, and the effort to tackle climate change. Obama said there is no reason that the United States and China should not cooperate, and that the U.S. does not want to constrain China's rise. He made similar comments a few days ago in Japan. A judge adjourned the trial of Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, who is accused of tax fraud. Berlusconi's lawyers gave January 18th as the earliest date the premier could attend the hearings. Berlusconi is accused of not paying $45 million in taxes for his media company Mediaset from 2000 to 2003. If convicted, he faces a maximum of 6 years in prison. This trial is one of 2 against Berlusconi. It has not been possible because of an immunity law shielding him from prosecution, but Italy's top court lifted the immunity last month and allowed legal proceedings against him to continue. Berlusconi denied the charges, saying he's a victim of politically motivated magistrates. And U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates has blocked the publication of more images of U.S. soldiers abusing detainees. The request was filed with the Supreme Court late Friday evening. The order is for more than 40 images, including some of prisoners being abused in Afghanistan and Iraq. Last month, Congress gave Gates these powers to prevent the release of any images he feels would put U.S. soldiers at risk. Public disclosure of these photographs would endanger citizens of the U.S., members of the U.S. Armed Forces, or the employees of the U.S. government deployed outside the U.S., Gates wrote in the order. The American Civil Liberties Union has sued for the release of 21 of the images and says it will continue to press for the release of the images. Obama had initially suggested that he would not attempt to block the release of the photos, but has revised his decision in May. Space Shuttle Atlantis launched this afternoon, delivering key spare parts to the International Space Station. The delivery is expected to add years to the life of the ISS after the Space Shuttle fleet is retired next year. According to NASA, today's launch is one of 6 planned between now and the retiring of the shuttles. The mission, scheduled for 11 days, will include 3 spacewalks and the installation of 2 platforms to the station's backbone. The platform